Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup, brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. So glad to be here, man. Friday nights are has now become my favorite night. Hanging out with all of you, good friends. My name is Keith Brugman, to be exact. I guess if you want my full name, I'm hanging out with my good friend, full name, Trevor Rocket Man Salzman as well. Trevor, welcome. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Keith. Excited to be here and excited to get a little bit more into the draft part, of our show. We've really focused on free agency. It feels like the past couple weeks, and now we
Mm.
still getting and are gonna continue to get free agency news. Now it's time to start diving deeper into the draft. So I'm really looking forward to that and looking forward to see what Denver's going to do because, like again, that's going to be their staple point this offseason. What are the Broncos going to be able to do in this year's draft to get their team better, quarterback or not? They have to hit on this year's draft.
Yeah, absolutely. The draft, it seems more meaningful this year than it has in many years, even though we've dabbled in top 10, top 12, top 15 picks, it just seems different this year. Seems like we really need to focus in, be laser focused, really hit on this draft and really I know this is going to be sounding like outside the realm of possibilities after we watched last year, but see rookie talent being utilized on the field in year one. That would be something to see. It'd be no one else is something to see, buddy.
What's that?
All our friends in the posse, man.
Oh,
All our friends. Ernie Mays coming in saying, "Go Broncos country only." Hello, Keith and crew. Hello, Mr. Ernie Mays, man. I appreciate your support. I feel like I lied to you because I jumped in. He messaged me earlier, and he's like, when are you guys going live? I'm like, we'll be there in like 10 minutes. Well, I think that was like 15, maybe 20 minutes ago. I apologize, Ernie. Thanks for hanging with us. And I apologize to everybody for being late, but we're here. We're ready to go. Just like Pearl coming in and saying hello, all. And hey, it's one of the co-hosts that are typically on this show. You can always check them out typically on Tuesday night. But hey, it's Mr. Albert Mile High Dutchy saying, just jumping in to say hi, y'all, DVR and Broncos fans, man. Appreciate you jumping in here, Albert. Can't do it, in person. So he's jumping in as any way he possibly can. He's virtually there, right there in the chat board, being part of the posse with all of you guys. And Mr. Phil McLaughlin coming in saying, good evening, Keith, Trevor, and Broncos country. Can't stay long. Uh, eggs to be colored. Yes, it is that time of year, man. It's that time of year when we're getting our eggs all ready. Believe me, we had the Easter bunny at my work today and pleasing a lot of kids, giving a lot of big smiles. It's that time of year. I understand, Phil. Thanks for jumping in, being part of it, as well as, geez, you guys are blowing it up, Mr. Michael Ronchi. I'll give a shout out to you as well because he's Roundup royalty. Good evening, Keith and Trevor. Big orange and blue hearts, clapping it up for us. Appreciate you being here, Michael. I know that you'll be excited about this show because you told me you would be. We had big news and things to get to last episode that we had of the Denver Bronco Roundup. So we end up forfeiting our mock draft, but it's a mock draft Friday night, man. I couldn't be more excited. But Trevor, you talked a little bit about free agency, and we got to talk a little bit about a free agency because the Broncos actually did something in free agency. Why don't you talk a little bit to start? I'm going to throw a few comments up there. You talk about Josh Reynolds, ex-Lion, now Denver Bronco, wide receiver. What do you see in him? What do you like? What are you expecting from Mr. Josh Reynolds as he joins the wide receiver room for us?
yeah. So this past week, the Broncos ended up signing wide receiver Josh Reynolds to a 2-year, $14 million deal. We don't know the full terms of the contract just yet, so I can't really speak on the contract exactly what where the money's at. So more guaranteed this year or next year. I think with Josh Reynolds is the biggest thing is they're getting size, they're getting veteran presence in the locker room, and they're getting just a guy that's been a winner before. I mean, he won with Detroit last year. He was, I believe, their third leading receiver last year on that team. He brings a veteran presence that you're not going to have to worry about like you did with Jerry Jeudy when it comes to going after the media or having these locker room problems, per se earlier on in the year. So I just think this is a nice veteran presence for Denver. And a couple stats to bring to kind of back that up. His catching percentage in 2022 and 2023, in 2022 was 64.4%. His catching percentage in 2023 was 62.5%. Receiving success rate, as we call it, in 2022, it was 61%. And in 2023, it was 56.3%. And then, I mean, let's kind of combine that with Jerry Judy's numbers here now, because we're kind of, it's Jerry Judy's out the door, Josh Reynolds is in the
Yeah.
door. We want to, I mean, Josh Reynolds at this point in time is Denver's number 2 wide receiver. They paid him that money for a reason. So Jerry Judy's catching percentage in 2022 was 67%. His catching percentage in 2023, 62%. But Jerry Judy's receiving success rate in 2022 was 52%. In 2023, 46%.
Hmm.
You're getting a pretty up as far as consistency with Josh Reynolds, as far as he can catch the ball and he can do things with the football. Now, is this Denver's number 1 wide receiver, or are they signing him for that reason? No, but he's going to bring stability in the locker room. I do not think this is a replacement for Courtland Sutton. I think this is a guy that will go along with Courtland Sutton and will give Denver some much needed size in the wide receiver room. Will open the door for Marvin Mims to be that slot receiver that Denver wanted him when they drafted him. And it's just the biggest thing for me, Keith, above and beyond all this, is just the amount of size that they have added to this room. You have Courtland Sutton, who is 6'4", Tim Patrick 6'4". Now Josh Reynolds comes in, he's 6'3". I mean, Jerry Jeudy was 6 foot coming in last year, so
Yeah.
they really are adding length, a little bit of speed. I mean, Judy's probably faster than Reynolds at this point in his career,
Yeah.
but Reynolds is a long, lengthy receiver that can go up and get the ball. That's a great sign for whoever your quarterback is. So I think a solid signing for the Broncos. Not great signing, but it's a solid signing, for where they're at right now in free agency. And the guy that with more reps and more targets, you're hoping will excel, and you're hoping has not hit his ceiling just quite yet.
Yeah. I think the biggest competition isn't necessarily Courtland Sutton. This is going to be a Tim Patrick type of guy. If you guys haven't seen this guy, he works great out of the slot. He can work the outside. He loves to work the middle. He has arms that drape down around his knees. He's super lengthy. He's got great footwork along the back line. He loves to work those post routes, especially out of the slot sometimes. But he's always seems like he's working over the middle. He's a guy that I think is really more competition for that Tim Patrick role. Maybe being able to take over for a Tim Patrick, maybe make Tim Patrick somewhat expendable within this offense than it is, maybe jettisoning a Courtland Sutton or a Marvin Mims. But I liked what I saw. Like you said, it's a great addition, especially when we're losing a Jerry Jeudy. And I don't think we're going to have near the drama, and I think we'll have better production. And though I haven't looked at enough tape, my gut tells me this is a guy that's going to get out there and be in the blocks, on his man, focused on every play, playing every play. Like I said, a guy that I think it will give Tim Patrick a run for his money more than anybody else on this roster. They're going to be competing for snaps, compete all season long. And I hope that's the case. If we have those two guys working at the top of their game, competing for snaps, snagging down balls, and getting first downs like we know that Tim Patrick is capable of, I think we got another guy like that in Josh Reynolds as well. Do you agree, sir?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I agree with the point 100% on Tim Patrick as far as being competition for Tim Patrick. This is a guy that hasn't played, a snap in 2 years. I mean, this is a guy that unfortunately injuries has been a problem for Tim Patrick, and what Josh Reynolds brings is stability to this wide receiver room, and in a direction where you're probably needing it now. We'll see how productive he could possibly be with more possible targets headed in his way, because he's not going to be that third or fourth wide receiver target likely coming here to Denver. He's probably going to get a bigger role here within this offense. So I think it's just a really solid get. Someone that can be consistent right next to Courtland Sutton is the biggest thing, because Jerry Jeudy was not that. Jerry Jeudy maybe have more upside in my opinion, yes. But as
Yes.
far as consistency, I think Josh Reynolds I would take every day over Jerry Jeudy.
Well, I can tell you one person that, or one team that thinks that Jerry Jeudy might have more upside. Just ask the Cleveland Browns. They're the ones who gave him the big bag, So hope the best for Jerry Jeudy and the Cleveland Browns. They certainly invested in him, like he's going to take that next step, a step that I think that is more likely for Josh Reynolds, at least in this offense, than what we saw from Jerry Jeudy. I like the guy. He's plugged in. He's ready to go. And I think he's going to be an impact on this roster, something that, you usually don't talk about in a free agent this far into the process as well. Got our good friend Kenny Kirkpatrick coming in and saying, good evening, fellas. Our good friend Carson, by the way, if you guys don't know, Kenny Kirkpatrick, part of the fantastic K&K Sports Show. They have a fantastic group of individuals over there. One of them being Mr. Carson. And Mr. Carson is a huge Lions fan, to the point that he was broadcasting from some of the playoff games last year for him as well. Did a couple of live videos. So check out the K&K Sports Show. But he says, as a fan of the Lions, he says you will like Mr. Josh Reynolds a lot. So from everything I saw, I really did. Production is about the same, like you were pointing out, from a Jerry Jeudy as far as yardage standpoint. But I think the guy is plugged in, ready to go. Michael Ronquillo was sharing a little bit earlier. I'll throw it back up on the screen. Josh Reynolds said of himself, he is a smooth route runner, wide receiver. And I agree, man. Like I said, his work with his footwork, especially along the back line in the end zone, he was targeted quite a bit there, and he is phenomenal. I think he is great in route running, great footwork. It all goes hand in hand. Excited to have Josh Reynolds, a nice little addition to the Denver Broncos in the wide receiver room. That seems like it's getting pretty full over there, man. I know that we were excited about some wide receivers when it came to the draft. I know it's a mock draft Friday night. I'm excited for that, buddy. But I don't know how many wide receivers we'll need to add to this wide receiver room now that we keep adding these pieces and parts. I don't know where we're going to go. That being said, bud, I want to talk about a couple of things because there was a couple of pro days. There was a couple of pro days that came about. Bo Nix came out. Michael Penix Jr. had his pro day just within the last little bit. What do you think? What did you hear about those two guys? And did it impact the Broncos at all, or their draft status and the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, I heard Penix actually. I heard he had a really great pro day, and Nix that did too. From what I've seen, I take a little bit of away what they do from their pro days, but these guys are set up for success with their pro days. They're throwing at guys they have connections with. So yes, it's great to see these guys throw one last time before the draft, but the tape and the intel on these guys with the meetings, that's what matters most. For me, Penix, I think teams are going to be high on him. I think he's a second round pick still. I don't think that he's a first round pick. It would be interesting if New England passed on a quarterback at 3. That's a team that I heard could possibly be in on Penix back into the first round. But I think other than that, I'm not sure what other team's going to be on him. Also heard a little bit of a rumor that the Raiders are really high on Michael Penix Jr., which I don't know how much, I want to believe in that when they just, wasn't out there in free agency and got Gardner Minshew and give him big money. So I'm not sure exactly what to believe right now. Again, it's rumor season. So let's take it with a grain of salt, of course. But I don't think it changes these guys' draft status by any means. Bo Nix, he could go from 12 to in the second round. I mean, we just do not know. I think one thing that I will point out with these guys, in my opinion, is these two guys, Bo Nix and Penix Jr., are two guys that I think have really high floors, but I question where their ceilings are exactly at as far as going forward. They are older prospects. Now, that's not just saying that they're older prospects because of that, and they have a low ceiling because of that. It's just from what I've seen on tape, and I think other teams around the league are kind of starting to agree with that a little bit. That's probably why you're seeing Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, even JJ McCarthy, up so high, because NFL teams really value upside more than anything. And those two guys with Penix and Nix, not sure they have the near upside as some of these other quarterbacks at the top of the draft have.
Yeah. Another one I think was Drake May. I think Drake May had his as well. That's probably who I was thinking of more than Nix. And so I might have you hit that. But I will say this about Penix, and I'll have you hit May. I think Penix actually may have helped himself in this draft process. I think he may have elevated himself. I think he's kind of been the forgotten guy. Everyone's all about Caleb Williams, Drake May, JJ McCarthy and Jaden Daniels, and where's Bo Nix going to be? Are the Broncos in love with Bo Nix? And all these names are like all being floated around the top. In the meantime, Here's a guy who took his team to the national championship. Here's a guy that can absolutely, I mean, has an arm, has a good arm, can make the throws, can get it to 35-yard out, bang, got it, no problem, got it, no issues. He has the arm, and then on top of it, he goes out in his pro day, decides to run, and some people are having him in high 4.4s, low 4.5 type of time range, according to some stopwatches. So he's impressed that way, even when that's not his game. His game is more in the pocket. That's where he actually flourishes. He likes to stay in that pocket maybe a little too long sometimes. That being said, I think Penix maybe elevated himself the most. Now, I'm not saying, hey, this guy is, top of the first round at all, but, I think there's teams that will start questioning end of the first round. Should we go up? Should we get that 5th-year option? Is this a Lamar Jackson type of situation where, we're seeing the very last pick in the end of the first round, being utilized in order to go up and get a Penix? I could see something like that. I wouldn't rule it out of the possibilities. I want to get your thoughts, though, on Drake May, though. Like I said, he went out, he threw. This is a guy that's supposed to be at the top of the board. Is he staying there? Did he move at all? Did it hurt, help, anything, buddy?
Yeah, so what was really interesting about Drake May pro day compared to the other quarterbacks, and it was on the same day as Penix Jr.'s pro day. A lot of the Broncos brass was actually at Drake May's pro day. I mean, it was Joe Lombardi, the Broncos offensive coordinator, Darren Mugley, the assistant GM, Pete Carmichael, who just came on, George Payton, Davis Webb. So you had a good amount of Denver Bronco brass at Drake May's pro day just to see what he can do. Makes me wonder, are they trying to get evaluations on, like, trying to secure where they're at with Drake May, as far as, is that their guy, or is it a smoke screen to try to get other teams off their trail? I'm not sure what it is. It's just really interesting to me that Broncos, out of all the quarterback pro days to this point, they were at the most represented at Drake May's pro day. It's a little interesting to me because, to me, Drake May, I don't question his tools at all. Again, this guy, Drake May, comes from a family of football players. His dad used to play at North Carolina as well, and
Yeah.
could have been a quarterback in the NFL. Unfortunately, injury issues to his arm, kind of limited him to that. But Drake May, to me, has all the tools to be a elite caliber NFL quarterback. To me, the biggest question is, what does Sean Payton think about his processing? Because that's something Sean Payton
Mm.
continues to talk about time and time again. Every time he's asked about a quarterback, the first word comes up in his dictionary is processing. I want a quarterback who can process information at a high level.
Yep.
Can Drake May be that guy? If Drake May can be that guy, I wonder if Peyton may end up being a guy that really loves Drake May, and maybe he would be willing to move draft picks to get up to get a guy like Drake May.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be. Sean Payton said it. Sean Payton said it was down there at the meetings. He was asked, can you go up? He said, hey, it's within the realm of possibilities. Don't rule it out. Don't rule it out for us going up there and get one of the top QBs. Don't rule it out. And these meetings mean more than anything about finding out what the interest of Washington is in a quarterback at number 2, seeing what the Patriots are really interested in, at their slot. Those are places that, hey, the right asking price, maybe there's still maneuverability there. Maybe they're not sold on their guy. Maybe we are. You don't know. This could be the wildest. I think this could be a crazy, crazy, crazy draft night, guys. One of the wilder ones that we've seen in recent years. I think there could be a lot of trades. I think there could be a lot of surprises. I think there could be an Aaron Rodgers type of moment, with a guy sitting in that back room for longer than we expected. I mean, anything is possible with the way that it goes, because as always, there's going to be teams with needs, and once those teams have already picked and the needs don't match up for a quarterback or for that edge rusher or for that cornerback or whoever it happens to be, all of a sudden you start seeing that slip, that fall. It's amazing what can happen, guys moving up and down the board trying to get that guy. I think it's going to be a fantastic, fun night. It's going to be a fun night for us as well because, well, we're doing our mock draft, guys. We're going to do kind of a limited mock draft in some capacity, and we'll get to it here in just a little bit. But I got to say hello to a few more people in the chat. Got to say hello to my sis. Hello, Leanna. She's saying, hey there, it's my bro. Yeah, it's my sis. And I got Trevor with me too, sis. So we're all set to go. We're talking a little bit Denver Broncos. Appreciate you joining in. Graham's always a great discussion and great member of the posse. He says, what do you think if the Broncos don't like any of the top QBs this year? Draft a late round QB and get a top guy next year? What are your thoughts, man? If we're not in love, can't get to our top guy, or we're sitting there at 12 and our guys are all gone, are we going late round this year? Are we getting a top guy next year? Is that the plan?
I still think they would take a quarterback late in this draft class. For me, like a guy like Joe Milton makes a lot of sense. He's a guy that has a big arm. Accuracy is a problem with him. It can be a guy certainly in range. Spencer Rattler would fit that. Michael Pratt would fit that. Although I'm not the biggest Michael Pratt fan, I just think that his upside is very limited. So it just depends on what they think of next year's class. Again, a lot of what they do in this year's draft is going to depend on what they think of next year's class projection wise. Do they think there is going to be a few guys on the board next year that are going to be top projected elite quarterback prospects that they can go up and get realistically next year? Because Denver will have their second round draft pick next year. This year, they're limited in what they can do as far as trading up in this year's draft. Yes, you can trade future picks, of course you can, but you don't have a second round pick to include in the trade. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I still do think they will take a shot some point in time in the draft for a quarterback. They do have 3 5th-round draft picks, so you wonder, maybe if a Joe Milton isn't there in the 4th round, maybe they trade up to get him and take a shot in the dart and see what they have with him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I do think it's very possible that they could also just pass on a quarterback just in total this year. Sign a veteran.
Wow.
Let Stidham, any veteran, compete and roll next year with this roster and have players that you can build around going forward.
Very good. This is my answer. Yes, absolutely. I think that there's a possibility that we miss out or don't like anybody in the top, whichever you prefer. The brass will always say, we really were in love with any of those guys. They were in love with them. They just couldn't get there. Is what that really amounts to. There was a guy or two they probably really, really liked. They just couldn't get there. Could they take a late round pick? Absolutely. I could see them still taking that late round flyer on somebody, fill the room. But I wouldn't rule out next year looking into what free agency might look like and bringing in a guy if that's a possibility. Again, it happens every year. I mean, this year it was a Kirk Cousins, you know what I mean? That was the darling of free agency. I wouldn't rule out the possibility. I know Broncos country, you're done. You're over with it. You've had your fill of Case Keenums and Teddy Bridgewaters and every other veteran QB that was supposed to bring us, Joe Flacco's, that was supposed to bring us, promise and playoffs. And heck, Joe Flacco was just in his prime when he came to us, according to John Elway. So we were all set to go. I get it. But, don't rule out the possibility. We're going to have a big payroll. We're going to have a big wad of cash to be able to spend next year. That could be spent in a lot of different ways. We'll have to get some guys under contract that we really want on this team, but don't rule out the possibility of going after a free agent quarterback as well. Good question. I appreciate it, Graham. Graham's always in here with good ones. Kenny's coming in here and reminding me, East Coast, West Coast, they're coming together, man. It's like this massive collision as we come together with the K&K Sports Show and Rocky Mountain Sports Network to give you 3 full days of draft coverage, man. It's all getting lined up behind the scenes. And man, I'm telling you what, man, I'm excited for it. It'll be a good one. It's less than a month away. We'll have to get it all set to go, man. And we're excited to bring it to you guys this year. Kenny does say, and I have to agree with this, you have to try. And he says, and I emphasize try, because you don't know what next year will bring. Meaning, if you were to win your 6 to 8 games like you did this year, Keith and Trevor, and you're picking once again in the 10 to 15 range again, you're in the same boat and maybe with a worst off quarterback draft class. So he's saying this might be your opportunity. You have to try. He's saying emphasize try, not make it happen. There's a difference. Make it happen. Make it happen. Do it no matter the cost. That's different than try. It's the difference between maybe Kenny and Kurt, if you ever watched the K&K Sports Show. Um, do we need to try, though? Do we need to try to go up and try to get that quarterback? Is there a reason to move up in the draft? I know that you're a big guy about trading back. Do you see a reason why we trade up? And let me ask you this, Trevor: who are we trading up for? If in your mind, I want to know if we trade up, who are we trading up for?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, you know that I'm not the biggest JJ McCarthy fan, so I'm not trading up for JJ McCarthy. I'll say it right now. I just not enough for me on the film for me to feel comfortable trading 2 first-round picks plus for a guy that was limited in what he did last year. You know, at Michigan, yes, he had a great running game. I get that, but you don't think Harbaugh's tooting that horn a little bit too much, just so because that's his guy. Oh, and by the way, Harbaugh wants to move back. So for me, if Daniels or May slips, that's the guy that those are two guys I would keep an eye on for me.
Okay.
I really like Drake May's tools. I think as a quarterback, again, it's just processing. Where is he at as far as a processor? If he's got that nailed down, he might be Sean Payton's guy as far as like, you know, they might be a guy Sean Payton might move heaven and earth to go get because
Yeah.
Drake May has that type of upside. Jaden Daniels, I think, as well, just probably not doesn't fit Sean Payton's scheme as great as I think a May would. My opinion, just because a lot of what Daniels does is off script, and you know what Sean Payton, he doesn't like off script necessarily. He wants guys to play in structure with his offense. So I think if one of those two quarterbacks was available, I would definitely at least think about it. I'm skeptical giving up picks for a third offseason in a row. And I mean, you're just putting your quarterback in a difficult situation, in my opinion. And so, May's my guy, though. To answer your question, Drake May is still my guy.
I could tell in the way that you're hedging. You're like, well, May Daniels, I really like May Daniels. Kind of doesn't. Let me. I want to ask. I want to follow up with one more then, and then we're got to get moving on a little bit with our agenda. But where does May need to fall for you to pick up the phone and say, "Can we work a deal?" I take it that you're not like, "Hey, I'm trying to call the Chicago Bears at number one in order to try to get Drake May." That's not you. But where would you personally feel comfortable? Drake May has fallen to the blank spot. I got to pick up the phone. I got to make that call.
I think if Drake May falls past the Giants at 6, I would be comfortable making that call. I would say it's probably pick 8 with Atlanta. Atlanta wants to move back. They want to get they got their quarterback with Kirk Cousins. Now they can move back and get their defender of their choice. Dallas Turner may still be there at pick 12 for them, so they may move back slightly, still get their guy, and Denver can move up. And I mean, again, there's no rivalry between the Falcons and the Broncos anyway. So I think that would be two teams that could possibly trade and be great partners. For me, I just don't want to move heaven and earth right now.
I know you don't.
And so it's just like, so I mean, the cost will be a lot lower, right? With at pick 8, going after a guy like Drake May if he falls. Again, hey, if teams like JJ McCarthy, go up for him. But for a guy that's getting a lot of second round projections by high people that covered this league at a high level, and so it's just like that scares me about JJ McCarthy. May not this past season college football, but the year before. Go back and look the analytics and everything. He was one of the best quarterbacks in college football. I don't care where he played. When he had more around him, he was more effective. Last year, he didn't have an offensive line that was great for him. He didn't have the weapons that some of these other guys have around them. He didn't have what Jaden Daniels had around him. He didn't have what McCarthy even had around him. So for me, he was still able to stay afloat as far as a quarterback prospect. He's now projected to be a top 3 pick at least. If he falls, I will be surprised if he falls. That's the only thing. But if he did fall to like pick 8, pick 7, I would pick up the phone in a hurry and see if I can get a deal done with Drake May, because I think that this guy, just his tools as a quarterback, that gets me hyped way more than for a guy like JJ McCarthy, who we've just not seen enough of playing at a high level.
Yeah. I agree with Graham here. I think 5th, 6th pick is about as low as that guy would be able to go. Now, that being said, I don't think we're going after the 5th overall pick, because I don't think the Chargers are going to be trading with us anytime in the near future. But the 6th overall pick with the Giants, that becomes a possibility, man. And I think I think that's realistic. Ernie Mays is saying maybe 8th pick, go after him, kind of like what you were echoing there. Go and get him at, try to trade into that Atlanta pick, get that trade partner there. It's not a major jump, shouldn't cost you hopefully an arm and a leg to get there. That being said, maybe you can get your quarterback of the future. I can tell you what's not a gamble though, man. What's not a gamble is our fantastic sponsor, and that's Morgan Trinkets, man. Morgan Trinkets, I'm telling you guys, if you're looking for Southwest jewelry or pottery or estate gold at wholesale prices, I found your place, man. I've dropped the comments in over on YouTube. Morgan Trinkets is over on Facebook. They've been in business since 1990. That's 33 years of experience for Morgan Trinkets. Once a nationwide, where they would tour the whole country doing shows. Now they're just limited a little bit to southern Wyoming and northern Colorado. But on Facebook, you can check out their whole inventory. They've got real gold, 10, 14, 18 karat, all their silver, sterling silver for anywhere from $10 to $2,000. If you're transacting with them on Facebook, guys, do it through PayPal. Anything that's over $50, that's absolutely free shipping, guys. Absolutely free. Right to your doorstep. If you happen to catch them out there at one of those fantastic shows that they do, they'll take any form of credit cards as well. Check out Morgan Trinkets. That's Morgan Trinkets on Facebook. Morgan Trinkets, your headquarters. Headquarters. That's what the name. That's what I was looking for. Headquarters for Southwest Jewelry and Pottery, as well as estate gold at wholesale prices, guys. Trevor, there's lots of different ways we'll be able to go in this draft, man, and I'm excited. I'm excited for all the possibilities that we have in front of us. I'm going to throw up I haven't even read it yet, but Kenny comes in and says, since this is a mock draft, I will, as a Giants fan, trade the Broncos pick 6 for pick 12 and a 2025 first round pick and PS2. Chris said all is so, that's why I want that's why I want what I want. You're taking, I'm going to pick 6. Nope, probably not going to get all that to get to pick 6, buddy. I'm not in love that much. Our good friend and co-host coming in, Jody Moncrief, he says 24s 1 and Williams for Dak. Wow. Dak is getting a lot of steam, guys, and I was on that pretty early talking about this whole Dak thing. It's funny now; it's starting to bleed into like big time media stuff. We'll see where that goes. But I think that is one of the possibilities out there. That's the big free agent quarterback if he doesn't get signed to a long term contract next year. He's going to get paid $60 million next year. If we load up and we've got a team that looks like it's ready to go, then we become a destination for a quarterback that wants to come to us and see if he can make it happen. We need to be in that position, though. If that's the position we're in, then we're not sniffing any quarterbacks near the top of the draft at all this year, if that's our plan. Maybe that's what we see. Maybe that's the plan. We'll end up seeing what happens a little less than a month from now. It's crazy, man. Broncos' future is like riding right there, less than 30 days away, man. And it'll be exciting to see if we're in the waiting game. It'll be exciting to see if we're going all out and we're getting that guy and running next year with a guy at the top of the draft. All right. Pearl's coming in, and then I'm going to probably jump into this draft here pretty quick, guys. Says, I love how everyone thinks, and I would love to see what happens, but I love the underdog still. I know she's Pearl's probably the only person out there and probably the biggest promoter for John Macha out of the Colorado School of Mines, man. I'm telling you what, if it was up to her, this guy would be drafted at the top. She is his biggest fan. But I got to tell you what, guys, if you haven't, because she got me on it, it's not very often you're looking at the Colorado School of Mines. Go check out John Macha and some Colorado School of Mines. This guy should be, if nothing else, one of the top undrafted free agent quarterbacks on the market. And he should probably go late rounds, man. This guy is pretty impressive. Check out John Macha. I appreciate Pearl getting me all hooked up on John Macha. I'm not. Well, maybe he's available in this draft, buddy. Maybe we'll take a look. So, um, Kenny's coming in and says, if you make the move, you turn into the Browns with Deshaun Watson. There's lots of different moves. I know that Kenny's going kind of blowing up the board, so I don't know if I missed the reference there. But that being said, that's what we don't want. We don't want to be in the position where we've given up an arm and a leg for the wrong guy either. So we're going to find out, Broncos country. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Trevor, do you have anything to add before we start getting into this mock draft, man? Anything that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, again, the Dak hype. I'm not sure. I don't want to believe too much of that Dak hype right now. I'll believe it when I see it. When Dallas moves on, if they do decide to move off of him, exactly. For me, I would sign Dak as a free agent, no doubt about it. But I'm not probably trading first round picks for Dak Prescott because you're 2 years away from trading for Russell Wilson. And how'd that turn out? You thought you had a team that was able to contend, and it turned out bad. So I'm probably not trading for Dak Prescott, but as a free agent, yeah, I would absolutely be interested in signing Dak Prescott as a free agent. But that's why I'm saying is would Broncos country get on this plan of if Denver brought in a veteran quarterback, or if it was Stidham this year? Again, I don't think Stidham would last the whole year, but if you brought a veteran quarterback in here and Denver throughout the year, right? They whatever record they don't make the playoffs. We don't really expect them to. We hope they do, but we don't expect they do. Would you sign up for Dak Prescott as a free agent next year? Take this year's draft. You don't draft a quarterback. You get best player available. Get the foundational pieces this year, and then you sign Dak next year. But you have 1 year in between Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott of Jarrett Stidham and a veteran quarterback. Would Broncos country sign up for that, or would you have to trade for Dak Prescott now or never?
Yeah, it's kind of like Kenny. It's kind of like Kenny said. I think that's something you need to look at. If you come out of this draft and you missed out at the top, you take a light flyer on a guy, but he really doesn't impress in training camp. He doesn't look like he's going to make that next step necessarily. All options are on the table, man. All options have to be on the table. Kenny's saying, guys, I watch a lot of Dak, and he is not the quarterback you want in Denver, according to him. So he's saying, sorry, Keith, quick rapid fire question. How many years guaranteed are you going to give Dak? Guaranteed. Honestly, what you need to look at is the Kirk Cousins deal. The Kirk Cousins deal in Atlanta is something that I think would be very closely mimicked and be acceptable, at least on the Denver Broncos side. I know it's big. It looks big, but if you look at the numbers, it's not that big. It's like a 2-year contract with an out after 2 years, and yeah, you have some dead money for following years, but it's nothing that's going to absolutely kill you like a Russell Wilson contract is killing us right now. So that would be my solution, something along those lines, something that where you're not tied forever. It's not going to kill you, but you have opportunity to move on if it's not the right fit in here in a couple of years. Because let's face it, that's kind of where we seem to be as Broncos fans. Every couple of years, we gotta need to move on from somebody. So
Yeah.
somebody at the top. What were your thoughts, man? Rapid fire. How much are you going to guarantee, and what do you think the contract looks like, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I think he gets more than Kirk Cousins. I think just the productivity. Dak was the guy that was in the MVP race for a lot of last season, so I think he'll get more money than Kirk Cousins. It's hard to speculate on what contract he would get. And if
Yeah.
I'm the Broncos, I would really just taper expectations on what you want, what Dak wants, and go from there. Again, I would spend the money to get Dak Prescott, but Denver needs to focus in on locking up their own first. Do you have Quinn Myers? Do you
Yeah.
have Pat Surtain? There are
Yep.
going to be free agents next year. I do expect them to get deals done with them before they hit that point. But at this point in time, the Broncos, we don't know how much cap space they'll exactly have until those
Hmm.
deals are done because Quinn Myers might be the highest paid guard in the NFL. Pat Surtain, he might be one of the highest paid corners in the NFL. We don't
Yeah.
know exactly where their money's at. It's very well a possibility. So we'll just have to see what those guys will cost and then go from there. Against a year away, so it's hard to project what's going to happen with Dak and Dallas, anyways. I still think they're crazy for moving off from. I don't believe that they're going to actually do it.
Mm.
What we shall see if Jerry Jones will let him walk because who is let's be honest, who's taking over the reins there in Dallas? Who's right behind Dak Prescott? Maybe is Dallas in play for a quarterback this year? Maybe. Maybe they show their hand in this year's draft. Maybe.
Hey, there you go, man. Talk about a dark horse trade partner. If they're looking to move up, if they're looking for a Patrick Mahomes off of an Alex Smith type of move, have Dak Prescott play out his contract this year and get his $60 million and then walk. That's the one thing that will help the Cowboys the most, right? Resetting that quarterback contract, right? Because you can't continue to pay $60 million to your quarterback and expect that you're going to be able to keep a CD Lamb and put a defense together that doesn't fail in the waning the waning moments of the season and just get obliterated. I mean, all these different pieces that you want to get a running back, because now you don't have anybody. You've gotten rid of Pollard, you've gotten rid of Elliott. You know what I mean? You want more pieces. You want a good tight end, because now one of them's went off. Schultz has went off to the Texans, and you'd like to replace. Well, you can't have everything. So at some point, you either got to say, we can do it with Dak Prescott and mediocrity all the way around him, or we need to move on from Dak Prescott so that we can get on that rookie contract and put all those other pieces around. And so maybe, somebody else will pick him up. Maybe it's the Broncos. Maybe it's a different team. He's still out there. He still has talent. He's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Even if Michael Ronquillo says no to Dak Prescott. That being said, it'll be an interesting decision for the Cowboys, and it'll have ripple effects across the NFL. Simple as that. Simple as that. That being said, man, we've delayed long enough. We got about 15 minutes left of our show because we were about 15 minutes late. And so if we're going to run this hour, we're going to have to get in here and we're going to have to do a mock draft. Jody's coming in here for Trey Lance as a possible guy. That's the guy who would obviously take over for Dak Prescott. That's your answer. They did go out. They did trade for him. That would be the initial thought. I guess it would be. I don't know how long term it is. Again, this is a guy that we've yet to see a whole lot from. It's really tough to say this guy is a bust because we haven't seen him I don't feel like we've seen him on the field enough to just say he's a bust. I'd like to see a little bit more out of a top 5 pick, you know what I mean, on the field before I just label him a bust and out the door. So Trey Lance, though, it would be the answer there. So and Kenny's just right on there. He's not no Dak, don't do it, just stay away, run. Man, I didn't realize how much Kenny was on that, because I know Kurt's that way. Kurt is definitely not a Dak Prescott guy. I'll give you that. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, this is the first time ever on the Denver Bronco Roundup that we're going to jump into a mock draft. So what we're doing, guys, here, we got Pro Football Network, man. I've been watching all of these for a while, and it's been really difficult to try to find one that's as most up to date and is going to give us the best opportunity to see realistic results. And I think that the Pro Football Network is the best one I've seen so far. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go a fast speed here. We're selecting for the Denver Broncos. We're going to go 7 rounds. Now, Trevor, I don't know how versed you are, but I feel I'm versed really good through 4 rounds, maybe through 5. I'll be honest, my 6th and my 7th round picks might be just for need and position only, as I'm still working through all this talent that's heading into the draft. And I'll be ready within these next 30 days when we have that blockbuster show, but I'm still trying to get the bottom end done. How are you feeling about the draft overall?
Yeah, again, I'm still kind of towards the end of free agency, so I'm now starting to fully dive deep into the draft. I don't always try to, I look forward to the draft, no doubt about it. Probably first 3 rounds or so before free agency, but I really start diving deep into the draft all throughout the draft, right after free agency ends, because it gives me more intel on what teams may be thinking throughout the rest of the draft. It's hard to really think about what teams might be wanting to do before free agency hits. So for me, this is my full dive deep into draft discussion is right now.
Yeah, I agree. That's about where I'm at. I've been so big into free agency. I've been scouting all of some of the top picks at this point. But when we start dribbling down and you know drizzling over the edges and getting down to that bottom edges of the draft, I'm not going to be as good. Michael's going to come in here and he's going to help us out. He says with those late round picks. I know Michael is a fantastic resource, and then Graham has a good questions because this is how we're going to do it, guys. Me and Trevor are kind of on the same page. Um, we're not huge on trading up and getting rid of our draft capital or draft picks that we have right now, or wait, taking our future and risking it on a pick this year. So we will look at any trades down, but especially going in this fast mode, trying to get it through it in the time that we want to and need to here, guys. We're not going to have an opportunity to go slow and pause and look at trades up. That's something that we'll look at as we get a little bit closer to the draft. We'll have more and more of these mock drafts. I love them. I do them a lot in the background that has nothing to do with the show. So we'll do more like this. We'll get more in depth. But as for right now, we'll look at opportunities to trade down, see if those opportunities are there, see if we can compile some picks, and give us more darts at the dartboard. But as far as moving up, we won't be looking at moving up. So hopefully that's not too disappointing for anybody. And it looks like I may be somewhat frozen.
Yeah, you're a little frozen. But I can hear you just fine. You're just frozen.
Yeah, I'm getting like no reaction from my computer though. So this is not a good thing, man. um Bear with me. Maybe you can talk about what you like and where you'd like to go maybe in the first round. I might have to switch here real quick, buddy, and see if I can get a little bit better connection, okay?
All right. Yeah, so guys, I mean, again, for me, I'm curious to hear our audience's thoughts on, where do you guys turning out at this point in time? Where, again, more time as we get closer to the draft. Are you guys wanting to trade up for a quarterback? If so, who's your guy? Who's that one guy that you guys, all Broncos country, all of you guys want the Broncos to trade up for? And who would you trade up for? Is it JJ McCarthy? Is it Drake May? If Jane Daniels falls, is it him? So I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. But guys, one thing to keep in mind especially when I was talking about trading up for Drake May, I don't know if the Giants are 100% going to be in on a quarterback. That's why I say maybe Denver moves up to 8. It's a slight trade up for Denver and the Giants, because the Giants I think are going to be looking for a wide receiver. They just keep in mind they just signed Drew Lock this in free agency, so that might be a guy they really want to get and give a starting nod to. And you also have Daniel Jones, who I do think you need to see what he has left in the tank. So that's why I say if Denver can get up to 8, that would be ideal. Um, but and that's if the Giants pass on a wide receiver. Now if the Giants want a quarterback, I think Denver may need to move up until 4, which again is going to cost you a lot. And you better love that guy. Sean Payton better have that quarterback right on his hip because that's the guy he's attached to if things go right or if things go wrong, no matter what. That's the quarterback Sean Payton is attached to, regardless. So I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on who do you want the Broncos to trade up for, if you want them to trade up at all. For me, again, and I've said this multiple times, guys, I'm one that wants to trade back so we can get more draft capital, and because I think that's what the Broncos need to do. From picks 1 through 3, you have 2 picks in the top 100. That's really tough to get a roster better when you have to build to the draft. So for me, trading back, getting more picks, getting more darts at the board per se, or gives you and possibly gives you more flexibility to also move up to get a guy as well. So that for me is a reason why I would love to trade back. And the Broncos haven't done it in a very long time. It feels like Noah Fant was a Denver Bronco when they traded back the last time. So I think the Broncos really need to think about that and not try to get too quarterback needy in this class, because I would rather pick the right guy than to pick the wrong guy. So I would love to hear what you guys' thoughts on this. I don't think I can pull you guys' comments up, but just kind of put in the chat what you guys what your ideal quarterback in this draft class may be. And other than quarterback guys, who else are you guys wanting to possibly go after? I know Brock Bowers has been rumored to Denver at 12. I don't know if Brock Bowers goes to Denver at 12. I could see the Jets possibly doubling down at tight end and bringing a guy like Brock Bowers in. So I get it. It's a kind of a discussion if Brock Bowers is a guy that falls to Denver at 12. Um, would you want to move out of that pick, or is Brock Bowers that blue chip prospect that the Broncos may want? That's the question that you have to ask. Also, want to kind of note that I think picks 8 through 12 is a spot where teams can trade up for tackle. So Olu Fashanu, J.C. Latham, those type of tackles would be great. I think it's a great spot where the Broncos are at 12, 8 to 12 in that range is a great spot where the Broncos could possibly trade back with the team that wants to get a tackle, wants to be aggressive. Because if Joe Alt goes top 10, well, another team that's at 15 or in the 20s maybe want to get a tackle. So the Broncos, I think, are in a nice position to possibly get a good package of picks for a team that's really wanting a starting left tackle or just a starting tackle in general. One of those offensive linemen, Fuaga is another guy that if doesn't go top 10 could be a team, 15 or 20 could possibly want to trade up for. So keep in mind, we're talking about ranges of like where teams want to trade down for picks, 1 through 4 are that's the quarterback range where teams could trade up for a quarterback. While picks 8 through 12 are that in that range is picks where Denver can trade up for, or another team could trade up a tackle, and Denver's in that range where they could possibly capitalize on a team that's really tackle needy. And looks like he's back with us.
Oh my goodness. Just when things are supposed to go right, man, they go all wrong. What's going on, man? Well, thanks for holding down the fort, buddy. Sorry about all the issues, man. Um Anything I need to get caught up in, or do we need to just go ahead and jump right into this, buddy?
No, Keith. I was just bringing up, the posse, kind of who their favorite quarterback possibly was, and what I'm also bringing up, and I brought it up in the past a little bit, kind of the picks range. Picks 1 through 4 are, teams are the kind of the quarterback area where teams can trade up for a quarterback. But what I was saying is picks 8 through 12 is picks where teams that are really wanting a tackle, maybe in love with a tackle, could possibly move
Mm.
up to get one. So Denver could really, really kind of capitalize on a team really wanting to trade up for a tackle because say Joel goes top 10. Well, Fashanu, Latham, Fuaga, those guys are going to be available in that range. So a team sitting at 15 or 20 could really trade up and really jump in front of another team that's maybe wanting a tackle. So I think where the Broncos are at 12 would be a great spot for them to move back for a team that may be really, really, really wanting a tackle and is in love with the tackle. We really talk about quarterbacks, teams loving a quarterback and wanting to trade up for a quarterback, but teams will trade up for tackles as well. That's probably the second most important position on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, tackle. There's some fantastic edges that could be right there in that position. If you get that run on that corner could be there. This is the crazy thing. Wide receiver, if they get passed up, then all of a sudden we could see some, the number 2, number 3 wide receiver all of a sudden sitting there. It's going to be a wild draft, guys. Mr. Scoops coming in here says, "Love the sheriff poster behind you, buddy." Trevor, my favorite player growing up, almost draft month, absolutely. And Graham's giving you lots of kudos, saying you held down the fort beautifully. Appreciate you, buddy. Our contest winner, Mr. Patrick Wiltsey, and provider of Lion Coffee. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Got a brand new shipment today, man. It's treating me very, very well. He says, I will be ready and caffeinated for the draft, and I will be as well. That's much appreciated, man. I love my Lion Coffee. Believe me. If it wasn't for Patrick, I wouldn't have became such a fan. Now I'm hooked like no other. I tell you what. So let's jump in here, guys. Let's do some mock draft. I got it all queued up here. Let me switch over to my screen. I got the Denver Broncos. We got 7 rounds. We're going fast. We're entering this solo draft. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get this kicked off. As you see, it's already coming around. I'm going to go ahead and hide the trades. I just want to take a look real quick, and I want to see what the draft results have looked like so far. So Number 1, Caleb Williams. That sounds familiar. I'm liking this so far. Number 2 was Drake May heading off to Washington. 3, Jaden Daniels. Number 4, Malik Neighbors goes to the Arizona Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr., now a new Charger. Fashanu heading to the New York Giants as they take him as the offensive tackle out of Penn State. Goes before Mr. Joe Alt that goes to the Tennessee Titans. Leatu Latu, edge rusher, to the Falcons at number 8. Chicago jumps back in, gets their edge rusher. They got their quarterback. They got their edge rusher in Dallas Turner. Roma Dunze goes to the Jets, and one pick before us, J.J. McCarthy heads off to the Minnesota Vikings. Man, that seems like that's a very, very, very likely scenario, Trevor. What do you think about that draft so far? Think that's realistic?
I think Minnesota's gonna have to jump up. I don't think that McCarthy at 11, unless Denver just falls completely out of love with McCarthy. I think Minnesota's gonna have to move up into the top 4 to get McCarthy. But I also wouldn't rule out Minnesota moving up to 3 to get a Drake May. If Drake May falls past
Mm.
2, I could see Minnesota possibly moving up for a guy like Drake May. I think that May has the most upside over McCarthy. That's why I say that. A little interesting that the Giants took Fashanu instead of like a Dunze there. At least that's a little interesting when they need wide receivers and they're specifically they really love they really need to fall in love with a wide receiver because they haven't had anybody since OBJ. So
Yeah.
1,000-yard receivers. So I would think that they really would prioritize receiver there. Even if Odunze is the only guy that's there at pick 6, I would think that they would uh, take Odunze over Fashani. I think Fashani is starting to fall out of the top 10, in my opinion. Latu
Yeah.
also to 8 with the Falcons is interesting. Not a bad fit, but I think Dallas Turner's the better edge rusher, in my opinion. I think Latu is a better defensive end type. Dallas
Mm.
Turner's just overall athletic wise, he's truly great, and I think he's far few and away probably the best edge rusher in this class. The rest of those are interesting too. The Jets getting Odunze, they would celebrate with that one, no doubt about it. But if Odunze is not there, they're probably taking Bowers.
Yeah, yeah. That's what's interesting about all this. Where are they going to slot these guys? How are they evaluating the talent individually? You know, I don't think it's crazy, at the top of this draft board. I've seen crazier ones. That's for dang sure. Um, but Michael's talking, well, first Graham saying the Jets should probably draft a quarterback. They probably should, but they're probably in a now type of mode. I don't disagree. I think they'll be certainly on the clock next year for their quarterback once again. But I wouldn't doubt if they don't go quarterback, even if a good one falls in their direction. Um, Michael Ronquillo's already coming in. He's wanting no trade offers. He's saying Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is the top pick available to us at this point. We are going to go ahead and we're going to take a look and see what offers we have, though. We do have a few offers on the table. So, first one, Tampa Bay wants to move up. They'll give us their 26th pick, their 57th, and their 2025 first. I'll be honest, I always hate speculating into next year. I try to keep all my picks in this year if at all possible. That's just me personally. But I'm going to go ahead and I'll consult with my fellow GM here and Trevor, and we'll come up with a decision. Green Bay says they'll give you the 25 and their 41st pick, and those are the two offers we have on the table, buddy. Any one of those tempting you at all?
Tampa Bay's offer is definitely tempting. I mean, you giving me 2 first-round picks in a second for 12. I mean, I would absolutely probably run up to the podium and say, "Where do I sign?" I mean, where's my signature at? Because that would be great. I don't see Tampa Bay realistically giving up their first in that trade, though. I will say I think that's a little bit too much to pick, to trade to pick 12. But I mean, it could be a bidding war. I mean, Brock Bowers. I mean, if Denver doesn't want Brock Bowers, another team really wants Brock Bowers, they may give up, a little bit more to get him. And so, it's for me right here. If Denver's going to stick and pick, it would be Brock Bowers or probably trade back and see it. Maybe a team again would offer you that premium package for a guy like Brock Bowers and bring him in.
So let's say that this is this draft simulator is a little out of whack, and saying that's way too much to pull off a pick to the from Tampa Bay to get to the number 12. Do you like the Green Bay 25-41? Do you think it's realistic? And would you pull the trigger on that one?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close to being realistic. I think it's a lot more realistic than the Tampa Bay trade. We think maybe a fourth rounder might have to be thrown in there on Denver's side of things, but I do think that's a lot more realistic than Tampa Bay's offer.
um, Graham's not. He's saying that that offer is a joke
From
as
the
far as
Broncos
he's
side, or
concerned.
from the Broncos side, or the Green Bay side?
Yeah, I don't think it's too far off.
No,
We're getting that
no, no.
second round pick. You know, we're they're moving up 12 spots. We can go ahead and we can counter in here if you want to. Let's say that we want to go ahead and we want another pick this year or another pick next year from Green Bay. What are you thinking there, buddy?
Uh, I don't know how much you're gonna get more back. Maybe you might be able to get a fourth back from them, but they're probably not going more than that this
They
year or
have
next year.
they have the 58th overall pick and they have the 88th overall pick. What do you want to put in there as a proposal?
Try 88, but I don't think they're gonna. I don't know if they go for it.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and propose it. We're gonna confirm.
Yeah,
That trade
they wouldn't
was
go.
rejected. Okay, well,
Yeah,
let's see what else we have in here. Do we want to counter it at all again? Do you think we can get anything from them? Do you think we can get a 126 from them?
it's possible. You another fifth round pick. Denver would have four fifth round picks. See,
We're loading up. We're loading. Well, let's do this. Rather than a fifth round this year, let's go for a fourth round next year from them. See if we can pick that up. How's that?
try it.
That
There we
has
go.
been accepted, sir. We have traded. We will hide this again. We'll see what end up happening in that trade. And with that trade, they took Amarius Mims, which, by the way, guys, a lot of brass, and I'm sorry, a lot of brass have taken a look at him because he came in for a top 30 visit, guys. Amarius Mims was a guy that the Denver Broncos are seriously taking a look at. Raiders pick up Brian Thomas, Jared Verse to the Saints, Fuaga to the Steelers. Brock Bowers ends up going 16 to the Seahawks. That's pretty amazing. Quinion Mitchell, big cornerback that's moving up the boards. He hits the Jaguars at number 17. I always mess up. Troy Fonatnu. I always mess up that name.
Oh, naughty.
Off it.
Oh, no.
Thank you. Goes to the Bengals. Wiggins, cornerback to the Rams. Terrion Arnold to the Colts. You can kind of see what we're going through. Last one that went right before us, edge rusher, Chop Robinson. So right now on our board here, we have Byron Murphy, the second defensive tackle, Iowa. We have offensive center, one of the top in these draft, Jackson Power Johnson. We also have Tyler Guyton, Keon Coleman, Bo Nix sitting there as we're sitting there late in the draft, buddy. That's a name that we need to take a look at. Any other positions that we need to look at in particular, bud?
I mean, no, I don't think so in particular. I would love to have got possibly got a chance to chop Robinson there. I think that he would have helped Denver's defensive line, where I think they still need help at. I don't know that Matt Henningsen is exactly the answer, and they to me didn't solve it in free agency as far as another guy to get after the quarterback. So I would love Chop Robinson there at defensive line, but probably not. I think Bo Nix definitely has to be consideration here. Byron Murphy's in consideration.
Yeah.
Jackson Power Johnson, I don't think he is. I would love Jackson Power Johnson, but just from everything that I've heard from the Broncos side of things, I just don't think that they're going to take a center in the first round. And I think that they like what they have with Forsyth and Waltenberg, so I don't think that Power Johnson is going to be a guy they would take here. But I think definitely Byron Murphy and Bo Nix are two guys in particular that stand out.
Yeah, yeah. We'll take a look at it. I was just jumping over the comments while you were kind of talking here real quick. Graham's coming in saying we do need a center. And Michael Ronquillo, I'm kind of there with him too. I'm drafting Bo Nix there. We're about in that Bo Nix land, right? Graham's saying then again, we need a lot. Let's just jump back over here. I'll take a look at the trade offers that we do have coming up. Philadelphia says they'll give us pick 50 and 53 in their third round in 2025 if we give them 25 and the 207. The Chargers, I'm not going to look at because that's not even a possibility. This looks a little bit too good to be true there too from Cincinnati. I think that's I'm going to ignore that. The only one that's a possibility is maybe that Philadelphia one, but I think we need to seriously look at Bo Nix, Byron Murphy, either one of those here, buddy. Is this the Bo Nix 25? This is the spot that everyone thought. Is this the Bo Nix spot in this draft, bud?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in love with Bo Nix, what do you? I will say this because Michael Penix Jr. is still on the board. Can you go to quarterbacks?
Yeah, absolutely. We can take a look at quarterbacks. Yeah. The other opportunity that we have, obviously, is to wait until that third round or so that we might be able to do that. That being said, we have the 25 and then 41 is the next time we're up. Just as a reminder, so we're up in about 16 picks. But Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Spencer Rattler, Michael Pratt, Jordan Travis, Joe Milton, they're all there. Bo Nix is ranked 30th here, and we're picking at 25. So. I'll make my pick here. I think we do need to go Bo Nix here, man. I think if Bo Nix is sitting there at 25, I can't imagine us not picking him. Can you?
Yeah, again, it's just part of the evaluation of quarterbacks. Would you want Penix over Bo Nix, or
Oh.
where do you evaluate Rattler? I think Bo Nix definitely fits more what Sean Payton wants. I think, but it's not like ideal per se. I think it's ideal where Bo Nix fell to. I don't think he's fallen much further.
Mm-hmm.
But are you in love with Bo Nix's ability? Is he your next franchise
So
quarterback?
where else you going, bud? Give me another option, man. We've taken all the trades off. You going Byron Murphy?
Uh, I think you probably go Bo Nix year realistically,
Okay.
but for me, I would probably for me, if I'm my evaluation, Bo Nix is not my guy and he's not my franchise quarterback. I may actually do go Byron Murphy or trade back down.
Yeah. Well, we don't like the trade offers that are there, and we're not going to sit here and send out random ones to teams here. Yeah, I just can't see. I think with all the hype around QBs, at least for this draft, we're going Bo Nix here. We'll see what else we can put around Bo Nix. But I agree with you, man. This is not my opportune. I would like to see some more talent maybe on the board, a better trade offer, or a more realistic one, at least. But in this particular scenario, with what we have in front of us, I think Bo Nix is our guy. I'll hit the comments to make sure that nobody else is in here. Oh, I'd be cool with Rattler. No Bo Nix if he drops that many spots. There is a reason. Murphy for me. Well, geez. I'll tell you what, and we always listen to the posse. We always go this way, man. We need a defensive tackle. I'm going to go ahead and I'll draft Byron Murphy here. We'll wait on our quarterback. We'll see how many other pieces we can put, because I got to admit, we got on here. We loved Byron Murphy. We talked about Byron Murphy early in this draft prospect. Sizing up guys, trying to find solutions. I know that Byron Murphy came up in our evaluations, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with the posse. I know that Michael said Bo Nix here, but we got two that are saying maybe not Bo Nix. I'm going to go Byron Murphy here. We'll see where it lands. Okay, bud?
Do it.
All right, man. We're going to be back up here pretty soon.
Who it is? The Saints.
The Saints, man, if that doesn't sound right. So they're going to want us to go our pick 41, and they'll give us pick 45. We'll give up a 2025 Philadelphia 6th round, and we get their 3rd round. So that's the big move there. Baltimore with a crazy draft that I don't think we would look at. Let's take a look and see. Well, looky here. Bo Nix available still. Michael Penix available still. We're at pick 41. we'll see what happens since we have last picked in our draft. We were at 25. Jackson Power Johnson, Tyler Guyton, Adonai Mitchell,
I would love that pick,
Kool-Aid
by the way.
McKinstry, Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, Lad McConkey. We had a big run on wide receivers there.
Mhm.
That second wave. Graham Barton, a big name out of Duke. Kamari Lassiter, Jatavian Sanders, big tight end out of Texas, is gone. Yeah, so here we are, buddy. We're at 41. We still have Bo Nix on the board. We still have Michael Penix on the board. We have Tavondre Sweat. I know that was a name that you like. Darius Robinson as an edge. Any other positions you want to take a look at really quick? I'll check the comments and see where we're at.
I was just gonna say wide receiver. I mean, I would have loved Adonai Mitchell. I would have taken a look at him. In the first round at that pick. That's a guy I'm really high on. And when we did our realistic wide receiver list, he was on my list. I think
Mm.
that guy's gonna be a heck of a wide receiver. Trey Franklin might be in consideration here. I know that Denver just signed a wide receiver free agency, but you're not exactly young at that position right now. So you got to think about the future a little bit as well. If that's best player available, you take best player available. Um, but I think that quarterback right here, I mean, I would think at least it's got to be heavily in consideration right here. I guess my question to you, Keith, is this: with Penix, Nix, and Rattler, what's the separation? Is there a big separation between the three?
Um, yeah, that's I'll be honest. Penix my worst my and I love left-handed quarterbacks, but I'm scared to death to have McGlinchey being protecting his backside. That scares the heck out of me. Plus, every wide receiver says it's completely different catching a left-handed because of the spin on the ball versus a right-handed. So you have your whole wide receiver, core that are trying to relearn how to basically catch a ball. Bo Nix, I like his size. I like his stature. I think he can drive the ball. I think he has the maturity to step in and maybe be that guy day one. I'm a big Spencer Rattler fan because of that, I could completely wait. But I know that I got Michael Ronquillo just in here basically screaming, saying Michael Penix or Bo Nix here. So, or he says, or Kenny saying, or take a shot on Nix now, laugh out loud. Yeah. Um, I think at some point, believe me, if you continue to pass on a quarterback, I think Broncos country would just almost lose their minds. I mean, if Bo Nix fell this far with no reason, right? I think they would lose their mind if you passed on him again. I don't know how much longer he stays on the board. What are your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, if you pass him here, he's not going to be on the board. Penix won't be either. At least in my opinion. It's just for me, it's either okay if you get rid of Penix Jr., you don't think he's a realistic option. Maybe Nix or Rattler. I mean, is there a big difference between those two? That would be my next evaluation on these quarterbacks. Just because, yeah, I know Broncos country wants a quarterback so badly, and at this point in time, yes, that's great, but you still need to hit on this pick. You're in the second round, early in the second round. I'm not just taking quarterback and taking quarterback. You're not just taking one to take a flyer on him. You're taking him in because you believe he could be possibly your next franchise quarterback. So do you think Bo Nix can be that way, or do you think Spencer Rattler has more upside than Bo Nix? What that would and those two quarterbacks in particular for me would be those two guys you're deciding on. Do you want to trade back, and maybe wait for Spencer Rattler in the third round, or do you think Bo Nix right now is your guy? You take that shot now.
Yeah, it is the question, man. The question I have for you is if you don't like Bo Nix here, if you don't like Michael Penix, which direction would you like to go, bud?
Ooh, I like Trevon Sweat and Tyler Nubin there. Those are two guys I like right there off the bat.
All right. Well, we got a big defensive tackle. We do already have one Byron Murphy here. Tyler Nubin is a safety, and we know that PJ Locke is back there. We know we brought in, what's his face from Miami. All of a sudden, I got so many names
Jones.
floating around. I can't remember. Um, is a safety is a safety a better option than Bo Nix?
Yeah, that's what you have to ask yourself. Best player available, I would go here. I wouldn't just reach for a quarterback here. I hear it in the second round. But here's the thing with the Byron Murphy, you can move him to defensive end, and suddenly Sweat's right there in the defense tackle. So now you just secured your defensive line. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little difficult there because you have DJ Jones and you just signed Malcolm Roach in free agency, but I don't know. I mean, you have talent right there on the board that's just sitting there. So it's tough. It's
I'm
tough.
going to follow your lead on this one, man. I feel like I've done that a little bit already. As it is, I've already passed at 25. So where do you want to go, man?
I think we'll take a shot at Bo next to 41 at the end of the day. I think so. I know I've been all over the board, but I just don't.
Yeah.
I just,
You throwing me
I
for a
just,
loop over here.
I just, I think you got to take a shot. He's a guy that he's the safest pick there, in my opinion, at quarterback. He's a guy that's, yes, does he have the most elite armor in the world? No. But what he does, he's process as well. He always talks about processing. If you listen to anything Bo Nix has talked about in interviews, he talks about processing. He's a guy that will take the underneath routes. He's a guy that will get the ball out quickly. Stuff that Sean Payton needs at this point in time. No, where's his upside? That's the next thing. That's why I
Hmm.
say after your, four quarterbacks top of this draft class, you know, May, Daniels, Williams, and McCarthy. After that, you're the upside right there at quarterback. I'm not sure it's there. So, Bo Nix, I think that you can't really let him go. I think past 41 because he's a guy that can do enough for you at this point in time. And you need a quarterback right now. You can't just roll with Stidham going forward. So Bo Nix for me probably is the pick. When I go there, I'd be skeptical of it. But realistically, the Broncos probably at 41, probably go Bo Nix there.
Man, I need you sound like a George Payton GM. Okay, whatever you want, Sean. I guess maybe it's not the best. I relent. No, that being said, we took that 41, man, and we went with Bo Nix. So we went big in the defensive tackle at 25. We traded back. We got that pick that we didn't have, and got had a 41st pick. Now we picked up Bo Nix with the 41st pick. But now here we are with 76. We got to run through these, man. We got a lot of picks, man. But we're here. We sit at 76, man. Quarterback, defensive tackle. Is there any particular position you want to take a look at?
Did you have you simulated yet? That
Yeah.
this is
So
my
we're Bo Nix is where we're at. These are the top picks now. We got Chris Jenkins. We got Braden Fisk, Brandon Dolores or
ooh,
Dorless. Cedric Van Pan Granger, offensive center, Ricky Pearsall, Marshawn Nealand, Cole Bishop, safety out of Utah. This is just the overall. If we want offense, Will Shipley as a running back.
Persol to
So,
me is a guy that I'm eyeing.
yeah, Ricky Pearsall is a big one, a
Yeah,
big name there, and a wide receiver is something that we could take a look off. Obviously, I really like Braden Fisk. Out of Florida State. That could be a big one. But we've already went defensive tackle once. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is a linebacker I like out of Clemson, but not at this high up at this point. Yeah, I'm fine
tight
with a
ends.
Ricky Pearsall. Tight end where we're sitting there. We got Cade Stover, Theo Johnson, which is a kind of a freak out of tight end out
Wow.
of Penn State. But yeah, we're already through our Ben Sinats and the like, buddy, that we would maybe expect to
Yeah,
maybe see here. So I'm liking some Ricky
yeah,
Pearsall.
I agree.
Michael Ronquillo is. Graham is like saying we're linked to Denver as well. Like I said, Michael Ronquillo. We haven't went with any of Michael's picks, so we should certainly do it at some point. We're going to go ahead and draft Ricky Pearsall. He's now a Denver Bronco. So we're heading on to the 121st overall pick here, and looks like we're on the clock. Once again, if we take a look at the offense, oh, sorry, scroll all the way up here. Offensive side of the ball. We'll go offense all there. Running backs are still big. Malik Washington out of Virginia, Jamari Thrash, wide receiver. What other positions are we really needing that we should take a look at here, buddy?
Well, you address quarterback, you address defensive line and wide receiver, so edge, corner, and probably tight end. would be where I would.
Edge, corner, and tight end. So edges are probably going to be pretty.
Yeah, they're pretty
All the
big.
good ones are gone. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
They go by now. So
What about
edge,
linebacker?
linebacker. Oh, how about Jalen Ford out of Texas?
Yeah, I can get on
That's
board with that
looking
one.
really good. That's looking really good. We need a corner. Let's take a look there. Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon.
Yeah,
Not
I'm not. I'm not big on
anything
these
else.
corners. I'm not big on these corners after like round 2. So I just think that there's a big drop off in corners after round 2, depending on also who falls too. So
Tight
Theo
ends are still
Johnson,
strong.
Theo
Yeah.
Johnson, kind of, he's 6'7" frame. I would possibly take a chance on him as well.
Yeah, he's a freak. He's a freak of
Yeah,
an athlete. So, um, yeah, where were we at? We were on defense, weren't we? Mekhi Wingo. Oh, Jalen Ford, the linebacker. Yeah.
yeah. So it's either Ford or Johnson. Kind
What
of
are you
seems like
thinking?
that's kind of the. Ooh. What's the next pick we have on the board?
Next pick, I was just going to hit in the comments. Texas Longhorn players, cornerback, safety, offensive line. That's what we're saying. Ernie Mays is saying, get Luke McCaffrey. Get him. And then we'll take a look and see where Luke is coming up next. We're at 121, then we turn around with a 136 and 145. We're like lined up like, 12, 15 spots away from each other and these next few. We'll take a look at wide receiver and see what we have. Brendan Rice, we have Luke McCaffrey still in there. So we have some friends in there that we can maybe wait on and see if they come around. Luke McCaffrey being valued at 155, but I'm a big Jalen Ford guy. I would go Jalen Ford here if I had to go a direction. How do you feel about Jalen Ford at 121?
Yeah, he would be very interesting. It's just like I hate to pass on the tight end too. Those are two guys that I would prefer, but
Theo
man, I don't know.
Johnson, 129. Yeah, I mean he's right in that range, buddy.
But he might fall to pick 136 too. I mean, I don't know that Ford's going to fall to 136. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, just the depth just falls off. I mean, to me at tight end after Johnson, it just drastically falls off for me. It's just like I don't know that I want to take one in round 5. So it's just I think take Ford here and then maybe drop it. And see if Johnson 136 will fall to us.
We'll hope. We'll put on our little Denver Bronco prayers here on this Friday night. So we'll go ahead. There we are. We went ahead. We took our guy. We got Jalen Ford on there. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna switch over to offense. We're gonna see tight
He
end
is. He's there.
and Theo Johnson sitting there right there, buddy. You run to the podium with it.
Yep.
All right, buddy. We'll go ahead. We'll get our Jalen Ford. Go in, get that crazy freak of a tight end as well. Tennessee really does want to move up, and this isn't crazy. They'll send us 146. They want to move up one spot to our 145. They'll also give us 221, and we're going to give them pick 207.
Yeah.
I think I'll pass on that. It sounds like we're
Yeah.
moving backwards. I don't know. What's Thanks a lot,
I'm
Tennessee.
Man, I think that Tennessee needs. I wouldn't even answer the phone if that was what they were offering.
Did I call you or did you call me? I don't know what's
Yeah,
happening here, man.
is this a
Yeah,
prank call
we're
or
gonna hide that.
did you guys have a little too many lattes or something? Because this is ridiculous.
Right? They're like, man, these guys have been trading a lot. Let's just see if we can slip one past them. All
Yeah.
right, man. So again, Byron Murphy, defensive tackle, quarterback Bo Nix, wide receiver Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Ford, Theo Johnson. I feel like we need to do our friends a favor and see if Luke McCaffrey is there, which he
He's
is.
there. Do it.
He's there.
Board.
Anybody else coming in? I think I don't know. Pearl's wanting some liquor. I'm not really sure what that's all about. I appreciate it. Sometimes me as well on a Friday night, Pearl. I appreciate it. Wisconsin dinner says Michael Ronquillo. And Graham has a good question about: are we concerned about any other offensive line spots? And Yeah, I'm still concerned about center. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not sold there, but so many holes, so many pieces. I don't know how much we can prioritize it, but I wouldn't put put ask whether it be Peyton or Peyton, saying, hey, that's a spot that we were going to take a look at. There we go. Luke McCaffrey. That's what we're talking about. Luke, darn auto correct. Dang it. That's all right, Pro. We got you. All right. So
Well,
let's just take a look overall again. Is there any position you want to take a look at, or are we happy going a wide receiver? Is there anybody
at
that you
this
had in mind?
at
I
this
like
point in time, I mean, McCaffrey, if he's there, well, pick 145. I mean, I don't know if he's going to slip anymore. That you
So
kind of
here's a
have to.
couple of names I'm going to throw here real quick. Tyke Smith, safety out of Georgia, rated 148. That's a guy I really like. Zach Zinter, offensive guard. Now I know we don't necessarily need a guard, but I'm telling you, us going up to the pro day at Michigan. I love the offensive lineman. He's also a prospect I really like. He just doesn't necessarily fill a need that we have on us, but Tyke Smith is another one that we could take a look at. But I agree. Between me, I was big on one Luke McCaffrey. I'm really big on pedigree. I think that he is going to be one of those guys. We've had a visit with him. Let's just go ahead and let's take Luke McCaffrey. What do you think, buddy?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Man, building up that wide receiver room on top of the wide receiver room. But look at that. We're right back there, 147. We were only 2 picks away. So now you got another decision to make, buddy. Where you want to go?
Ooh, you can throw shots at the board now. I mean, so what about corner? You want to look at corner?
Yeah,
We
let's
have
take
this
a
one
look at
position
that
we
corner.
have not looked at yet. I don't think
Um,
anything pops
I
off.
don't see anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that anything pops off. I'm not. The secondary is just to me after like round three, it really kind of drops off, which is kind of something I've been hearing around the league as is, anyways. What
uh,
was some of these guys?
Nehemiah Pritchett out of Auburn is a guy that might take a look at. I've seen a little bit on 6 foot, 190 pounds, relative athletic score of 9.06. So it's certainly an athlete there.
Mhm.
If I was to, kind of throw darts at that cornerback position, well, defense were sitting pretty good.
Go into
Running
your offensive
backs.
line if you want.
Yeah, offensive line. So offensive tackled, Garrett Greenfeld. Christian Jones out of Texas is a good name to keep an eye on. Frank Crum out of Wyoming. He's one of those offensive tackle. I would put him right up there with the miners type of mindset if you've seen him at all. So quite the guy. 6'8", 313 pounds with a 9.8 relative athletic score. Big, big, big guy. So definitely can hold that edge a little bit better. So that's a guy that we could, but we're sitting there like a value of 146 overall. Offensive center, Bo Limmer out of Arkansas. Offensive guard, Isaiah Adams. Trice Knight, linebacker out of UTEP. We're getting down in it, guys. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, man? We got to make a decision here soon.
Man,
Zach
I
Zinter,
just
that's my Tyke Smith. That's a safety I like. Right
yeah,
in that
we could put.
range.
I wouldn't mind safety. The only thing with safety is you were kind of in a. He's probably a special teams guy more or less because you still do have Jalen Skinner that needs playing time. We talk about it. It's
Yep.
Tyke Smith. You see that special teams guy. That's you're talking about these guys getting into that. Getting into the range of
Mm-hmm.
special teamers now, which George Payton loves to try to find.
Yep.
Athletes at this point in time is probably what we're trying to do and go find.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just switch around real quick. We'll just take a look again at corners, see if there's anything that jumps out really quick. Still like I said, Nehemiah Pritchett, 6 foot 190. That's a possibility. If I had to go if I had to go a particular route here, man, like I said, I'd still probably go safety. I like Tyke Smith a lot. That's where I would go. Do you have anything else that you would like to go? We got to figure out 203 and 207 after this.
No, I think safety would be fine. Again, you're trying to find special teamers at this point in time, so I would be fine with Techie Smith. I think he's an athletic guy that can contribute, on special teams, and would be a nice depth piece of safety as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Let's round it out. We're at 203 and 207. We're taking flyers at this point. Any particular position we want to? Ooh, we got Joe Milton still sitting
Oh
out
yeah,
here.
I may double up on Joe Milton at that point. I ain't gonna lie about it.
All
Honestly,
right.
he's
Yeah,
valued at 191 and 203 is what we're at right now. So
yeah,
I may take that chance on
exactly.
Joe Milton.
Yeah, Joe Milton makes sense at this point.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add him to the mix. We're right back there at 207, though. Another name that obviously could be connected, Dalen Holker,
yeah,
tight end. Again, these are guys that are going to be borderline, possibly undrafted free agents as well. AJ Barner, tight end out of Michigan, a name that might turn a few people's ears as they may have heard it. Another guy, offensive center, Charles Turner third out of LSU. That's a guy that I've taken a little bit of look at as well. Anybody else that you want to take a look at, or anybody that you want to pick right off as we round out our first mock draft, sir?
Ooh, I like Dallin Hooker. I like the size. I just don't know. You're adding another tight end to this room. Ooh, I don't know. Again, you're trying to look for special teamers if you can, and then Michael Orkio wants punter. I don't know, Keith. I know you're kind of not the biggest punter guy in the draft, so
Yep, Michael, you might have a hard time. Well, I just have a hard time doing it like in top rounds. I guess if you were going 7th round pick, I
yeah,
might live with it. But um, I'm fine if we double dip on that tight end and go Holker here, buddy.
yeah.
Local
So, what do you think?
product, and we've taken a look at. So
Yeah, think Barner or you think Holker would be better fit?
that's the thing that concerns me is a guy like AJ Barner in a top program championship team being at this position. I feel like I'd almost rather take a shot on a guy who's at Colorado State and maybe, has a little bit more upside if he has the development than a guy that was a top prospect and maybe didn't live up to the expectations of what he was capable of. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. I could see.
All right.
I think Dallin Hooker would be a nice addition to this team. You're stacking that tight end room. Suddenly right now you kind of question maybe you got him bring back Adam Trotman. Maybe you didn't have to bring him back if you're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny. We'll go ahead and put him in there, buddy, and we'll finish up our draft board. We'll take a look at it here in a second. It'll give us the round out, but um, that's the way it goes, man. These drafts and trying to put it all together and where things fall and what what you did in free agency and you thought you were lining yourself up in the perfect position, then something like this happens, man.
Hmm.
Man, we went super late, so let's wrap this up. Byron Murphy, defensive tackle. We end up trading back to the 25th pick out of that 12th pick, end up picking up that 41st pick. So Byron Murphy, our 25th pick. Bo Nix, we got our quarterback at the 41st pick. Fantastic value there. I think as much as we debated around that, looking back, that's a really good value, man. We did well
Yeah,
there. Ricky Pearsall, fantastic wide receiver out of Florida, should automatically help this room. Jalen Ford will go in there. He would end up pressing for some starting time, in my opinion. He is an impressive athlete. Johnson could be that Lucas Kroll, in my opinion, that's even higher. I mean,
yeah,
could really take off. Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver. Rice, again, love the pedigree, love the name. Tyke Smith, a safety, gives us another backup option, with the safeties that we've brought in, with the safeties we've re-signed. Joe Milton giving us that backup option at quarterback, late pick 203. And then, like you said, Holker kind of doubling down that tight end room, but giving us a lot of options as he rounds out our draft pick at 207. We also picked up a 2025 Green Bay 4th-round pick in that. So, hey, we even end up coming out on the plus side in next year, buddy. I read through all the names, but feel free. I know I didn't give you an opportunity. What do you think about this draft, though?
I mean, I think it's a great draft. You know, moving back from pick 12 and getting all that depth and still getting fantastic players. It just goes to show this is why we and Keith have been so adamant. Hey, let's try to move back. You can look at all the picks you got: Murphy, Nix, Pearsall, Ford, Theo Johnson, McCaffrey. I mean, that's right there, 6 guys. And that impacted you from moving back from 12. Just getting Murphy and Bo Nix, let alone. I mean, it's just you can get starters in rounds 2 to 5. You can really nail that. And if you can nail that, it goes a long way. And I just think that's where Denver's at in the situation. They need more depth, but they need to find multiple starters, not just one guy. They need to find
Mm-hmm.
multiple starters. And and this right now, our first mock draft. And again, appreciate you guys tuning in. And we're gonna have more of these. I mean, you found starters. I mean, I think Murphy is going to start. Bo Nix is going to start.
Yeah.
Pearsall, Ford, Johnson has a chance to start. McCaffrey has a chance to start. You possibly got 5 or 6 starters there that you could work with going forward. And now talk about building a foundation. And that's a pretty good foundation to build this team up with on both sides of the ball. One of my favorite things that we did about this mock draft is we were very balanced. We didn't just go offensive heavy throughout the whole draft class,
Yeah.
or just go defensive heavy throughout the whole draft class. Very balanced with our picks, and man, I just think that we had a really solid draft class, and I would really love to see what people would vote. They had to vote and give us a grade, what they would give
Mm.
us our grade for this, because to me, this is probably about an A or B plus. I think it's pretty high up there as far as overall grade of what we found in this year's draft class.
Agreed, man. I loved working with my fellow GM here this evening on our first mock draft. Trevor, you were amazing. Appreciate all the insight. Appreciate all the insight from the posse as well. Keep in mind, we passed up on some trades that they were offering us that we said, no, that's way too good of a trade. We're going to pass on that and pretend like that didn't even happen. So I think the value that we got out of this mock draft, I think we did a phenomenal job. I think we did great, man. Ernie giving us our grade. He says it's a borderline A in his opinion. I would take a nice B plus out of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, maybe Bo Nix isn't your guy, and JJ McCarthy or something like that would have been put you into that A status. But I'll take a great B plus any day of the week, Ernie. Appreciate the grade, man. I'm gonna go ahead. I'll shrink this off the screen, bud. But I want to get your final thoughts, man. We went super long. Super long. We did the hour and a half for show tonight, man. So get us out of here, man.
Yeah, so again, I want to appreciate everybody in the posse for sticking with us through our technical issues and our first mock draft. Again, we're going to continue to get better with it. And technical issues happen again. This is our first time actually playing with this and going through 7 rounds, and we haven't even went behind the scenes with that. We went, live show, just dive deep into it. So I really appreciate you guys sticking with us, and can't wait to do more mock drafts because, man, as we get closer to the draft, guys, things will change. I mean, we're about a little less than a month away from the draft, and it's going to come fast in a hurry. And things are going to change. We may see Minnesota trade up in the top 4 between now and into the draft, so that'll definitely change things and how we go about our draft. So can't wait to do more of these with the posse, and thank you guys for sticking with us and letting us rant a little bit as well, and letting us get our thoughts out and our analysis out. Really appreciate all of you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys Tuesday. And also, happy Easter to everybody, man. You guys, again, I hope you guys have a great Easter with your families. Eat a bunch of food, get full, and then get ready to work it back off, before the draft, and you'll feel better than ever. And, again, appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Happy Easter. A happy birthday to Mount High Dutchy. Really appreciate him and what he's done for us as well. But I can't wait to see you guys Tuesday, and thank you guys for everything. Please like, share, subscribe, continue to share the show so we can keep bringing you great content. And we really put a lot into these shows, guys. Really, truly do. And just want to thank you guys for everything you've done, and can't wait to see you guys again. Go Broncos!
There you go, man. Lots of thanks and much appreciated, man. We do appreciate you. It's not lip service, man. We brought we took this show from like little tiny speck on the map. And now look at you guys, in with us every Tuesday, every Friday. Uh, leads me down the path of thank you guys so much for sharing, subscribing, hitting that notification bell. Guys, we got a lot of stuff planned. I know that we said different things here and there but we have a lot of things planned for Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We're going to be getting queued up with the Rockies. The opening day was just yesterday? Was it? Yeah, yesterday. Oh, yesterday was opening day. Not the opening day that every Rockies fan would necessarily like, but we're going to get queued up with some Rockies. Hopefully, we get queued up with some Avalanche and some Nuggets as well. Check out RockyMountainSN.com. That's RockyMountainSN.com. That's the website. We'll be having more stuff coming over there. Check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network on Facebook, on YouTube, on X. Man, we appreciate every single one of you who are coming in here and supporting us every single show, every single week. You guys absolutely rock. Appreciate all, like I said, not only all the supporters out there, but our fantastic sponsor, like Morgan Trinkets as well. Trinkets has been sponsoring us now for a couple months. Couldn't be happier with the great relationship that we have. So again, Southwest Jewelry and Pottery, as well as wholesale gold. Dang it. As well as estate gold at wholesale prices. I do that every single time, only at the end of the show. Only at the end of the show. But if you're looking for that estate gold wholesale prices, guys, that's Southwest Jewelry and Pottery, Morgan Trinkets. Find them on Facebook, please. You won't be disappointed. Happy birthday to Albert. By the way, happy birthday to Michelle, his wife, that just recently had a birthday as well. So thank you, every single one of you who stuck with us through all the technical difficulties. Thank you, Trevor, for holding down the fort while I got things rearranged. And guys, every Tuesday, every Friday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Denver Bronco Roundup. We're bringing it to you. We'll have a special surprise as we're going to be doing a little doubleheader next Friday, but not Broncos related. So get ready for that. A little teaser for you. Please have a great Easter. Remember where you hid the eggs, or draw yourself a map if you're hiding them inside the house. That'll help when that smell doesn't end up filling the home a few weeks from now, wondering where it's at and trying to figure out where you put it. That's just a little tip for you. Thank you, every single one of you. I really do appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and get out here like we always do. So remember, keep your feet in the stirrups, keep your guns in your holsters, and of course, keep the Broncos in your heart. We're going to get out of here. Have a great night, everyone. Have a great weekend.